how to make my Mini Egg New York City cookies. One of my most famous recipes ever, and definitely one of my favorites. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while, like about 4 years or so, sorry. But I thought I'd come back. I thought I'd do more tutorials, easy recipes, show you in detail how to make some of my favorite things. And I thought I'd start this off with a bang with one of my favorite mini egg specials, the Mini Egg New York City cookie, because they're just amazing. But yeah, easy recipe, let's go. With a cookie recipe like this, I like to make it nice and simple. I use a cold baking spread, but you can use room temperature block butter if you prefer, but both work perfectly well. So I just add that to my bowl. And then for a lovely mix of flavors, I like using light brown soft sugar because it gives a nice caramel sort of flavor to it. And then of course, a little bit of white granulated sugar as well. I don't tend to use cast sugar because I find it can make it a bit cakey, so these two are the best. I tend to use my flexi beater for this because it'll mix it much better than a whisk will. A whisk might get it caught. And then you just mix these together until they're creamy. Because this is a cookie recipe, I'm of course adding a little bit of vanilla, but this is optional. And then I add 1 egg. Whether it's medium or large, just 1 will do. And then you mix again. Because these are New York City cookies, you actually use 2 raising agents. So I've got some baking powder here and then some bicarb as well. They are different and you definitely don't want to get them mixed up because too much bicarb will taste horrible. But say for example, you don't have any baking powder, you can switch your flour for self-raising flour instead. But honestly, it seems like a lot, but this will create the perfect, gooey, lovely texture of what you want in a New York City cookie. So it's 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of bicarb, and then just because I love it, I add in 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt as well. I love the salty crunch, but you can leave it out if you don't like it. This is 300 grams of plain flour because I've got the baking powder, and I just pour it all in. And then you mix. Because I want these cookies to be as gooey as possible, I still add some chocolate chips, but you can add a chopped up mini egg bar, Cadbury's, whatever you want, but 100 grams of those. And then of course you have the important bit, which is the mini eggs. There's quite a lot in the recipe. I like to add as much as possible, but you can take out some if you wish. You can easily crush these so easily with a pestle and mortar. It sounds a bit violent, but honestly, just a little tap, they'll break in half, or you can try and crush them in a bag with a rolling pin. But if they're in halves or anything, it's just more mini egg per cookie. And then whack these in as well. And then mix. And here you have a cookie dough. Delicious. Once your cookie dough is made, this becomes the important part, where because it's a New York City cookie, they are large, chunky cookies. When I went to New York for the first time, I fell entirely in love with these, and that's why I now make them pretty much every week. So when you're weighing out a New York cookie, this whole batch of cookie dough only makes 8 cookies. They're meant to be giant, chunky and gooey. So each one weighs about 120 grams. So what I tend to do is scoop a bit of cookie dough on, take off a little bit if I need, and then just lightly press it into a cookie dough ball, and then, yeah, and then you sort of repeat. You don't want to press the cookie dough too hard because that might stop them spreading in the oven, but you want to roughly aim for similar sizes so the baking time is the same. If the cookie dough is slightly overweight, you just take a little bit off and then you lightly press it into the cookie shape and place it onto your tray. Once these cookies are all weighed out and lightly rolled into the shapes, you want to freeze them or chill them in the fridge. About half an hour in the freezer or about an hour in the fridge is perfect, and all this will do will help firm them up for baking so you get the perfect texture. But one good tip for now is if you wanted to freeze them now, they freeze for up to 3 months as the raw cookies, and all you need to do is add 1 to 2 minutes baking time whenever you want the cookie. Once these are then baked, they're fresh out of the oven and they're a little bit too gooey to eat. I take this as a prime opportunity to add more chocolate. So because sometimes the mini eggs fall in the cookies, I might just add a few extra on top just for a nice look. An extra little trick as well once they're fresh out the oven is if they're slightly misshapen, grab a larger round biscuit cutter and just sort of lightly press it over the sides, and you can just shape it back into the perfect round shape, like so.